Black is up a ton of material, a rook and 3 pawns, and he's threatening to capture our queen. And of course, if we move our queen to safety, our knight is also hanging. But it is white to move. So if we can move the queen with tempo, we can then save our knight perhaps. But let's start as always by evaluating the royal squares. Occupied, occupied. The knight controls 2. The queen controls 4. That leaves these 3, and we can connect the e-file dots for rook e1. Check. Deflecting the king to d7, and now we can move our queen to safety with tempo. Occupied, occupied. The knight controls these. The rook controls these 3. That leaves these 3. And there are 2 connect the dots suggestions to consider. Identify the continuation. If we play queen to f5 here, the king can come here, and then we no longer have queen b5. So let's play queen b5 first, and then come back. He can either block with his c-pawn or move his king to c8. Now he chose to block. Note that if the king had come to c8, he'd be boxed in by everything here, so we could come back with check, forcing him to interpose. We could then super attack the knight, forcing him to defend, and then we simply sacrifice our queen, forcing him to take, then rook gives check, forcing him to interpose, and then rook takes, rook is checkmate. Instead, he blocked with the pawn. Well, we're still bringing our queen back to f5 check, forcing the king to c7. Note the royal squares this time. These are all occupied. That's controlled by the knight, controlled by the rook, leaving these 3. The 2 moves suggested are rook e7 or queen f5. And of course, rook e7 would be hot. So let's force the king to c7. And now occupied, 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 controlled, leaving these, and of course we can rule out queen a5 because of his rook. So let's use our rook now to force the king to b6. Occupied, occupied, controlled, leaving these 3. Connecting the dots doesn't work in either of these instances either. Both of these are hot squares. But how can you make queen a5 safe? Use your knight to deflect the king to a6. Now queen a5 is safe, and this is checkmate. Oh yeah.